Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the Chelsea versus Karabakh game in the Champions League. And we're finally back in the Champions League, finally back with the big boys. I hated not being in the Champions League last year. As you know, we're in a group with Atletico Madrid, AS Roma and FK Qarabag, apparently pronounced Karabakh, not quite sure, who we're obviously playing tomorrow night at Stamford Bridge. Getting into our opposition, talking to you a little bit about them. Karabakh is a team from Azerbaijan. They play in the capital Baku. And if you don't know where exactly Azerbaijan, or more specifically Baku is, well, don't you worry, I've got you. So you can see a map of Europe now, and you can see Azerbaijan coloured in red. So there's Azerbaijan, quite far away from England. I hope all of you know where the UK is in this. And to make it even more fancy, Baku is here. Doing this fancy thing now. But yeah, that's where Azerbaijan and Baku is. Obviously, a long travel for them, to be fair. Long travel for us when we play them away. But thankfully we're at Stamford Bridge tomorrow night. But actually talking about the team itself, I assume most of you don't know much about them. And to be honest, before doing the research for this video, I didn't either. But FK Qarabag play in the Azerbaijani Premier League. The club was founded in a place called Agdam, but they are based in the capital Baku since 1993 due to a war in the country. They have won 5 league titles along with winning the cup 6 times, winning the league every time in the last 4 years and the double in the last 3 years. So they're doing really well recently, to be fair. The manager is called Gurbanov, which is quite a funny name because basically his first name is in his surname plus of, which I find very funny. Anyway, most of their players are from Azerbaijan, but they also have some players from places all over the world, really. They're the first Azerbaijani club to ever qualify for the Champions League after knocking out Champions League regular FC Copenhagen from Denmark in the last round of the qualifier. And in those games, it sure looked like they do like to shoot from distance a lot or cross the ball in from out wide. I mean, that's obviously just judging how they play from watching highlights of 2 different games, so I didn't watch any more of it because it's very difficult to find as well, to be fair. So take it with a pinch of salt, but in those 2 games, in those 2 highlight clips, highlight reels, basically, it looked like they take a lot of shots from like further away and cross the ball in a lot. Obviously, they are the weakest team in our group. Let's be honest, they're nowhere near as good as Atletico Madrid or AS Roma. And especially at Stamford Bridge, we should really get the win without having too much trouble. But you should never underestimate any team in the Champions League, especially if you don't know them all too well. Like, you know, obviously the club will do their research, but they won't know them all too well. They won't know them like a Premier League team. And don't forget, they knocked out Copenhagen to be in the competition. So it's not an easy team. Obviously, Copenhagen would be a very strong team in the Champions League, and we'd expect to be Copenhagen as well. But still, they had to be Copenhagen, who have been in the Champions League a fair few times. So don't underestimate them, but we should really get to win. Getting into the press conference of today ahead of the Champions League game. Obviously, in Champions League games, most of the time there's a player involved in that as well. Gary Cahill was that player today, obviously alongside Antonio Conte. First of all, Gary Cahill spoke to the media and he said he's delighted to be back and itching to play, obviously after missing the last 3 games with suspension after his red card against Burnley. He then said it's great to be back in the Champions League. We are where we think we belong, among the best teams, and we want to compete. He said some other stuff, but that's not particularly interesting. So getting into what Antonio Conte said, the only real team news he had was that Danny Drinkwater has a muscular problem in his calf. I mean, it's a great way to start his Chelsea career. Sat on the bench against his old club on the weekend, and now he's out injured already. I mean, he said they still have to do some scans, so he might somehow be available to sit on the bench, but I very much doubt that he'll start. Asked if Hazard will start, Conte said Aiden is in the squad. He's working very well to get into the best physical condition, but he needs a bit of time to continue to improve. And we can't take stupid risks with him either. And he'll be on the bench. Basically just said he'll be on the bench. Eden is a very important player. He also said he played a great season last year, and it's very good to have him back in the squad. Another thing he said, playing so soon after last game, obviously the Leicester game, it may influence the selection for tomorrow, and it's normal that there will be rotation. So rather than tomorrow's selection affecting the Arsenal game, Conte said it's more like affected by the Leicester game. Then he was asked about Alvaro Morata. He said Morata's playing very well, he's scoring and is totally involved in our style of football, and he's also improving a lot. But he has played a lot of matches recently, obviously, playing for Chelsea and also playing in both games for Spain. Didn't play the full first game against Italy, but still played in both games. Then Conte said he has more experience in the Champions League as a player than as a manager, having only been in it twice as a manager, obviously with Juventus, but winning it as a player with Juventus as well, and reaching the final another 3 times as well. So the guy, although as a manager, he doesn't have too much experience with it and in it, and he didn't do all too well either, to be fair. He certainly has a lot of experience in the competition as a whole, although it probably changed a lot since he played in it as a player and now. But, you know, that's what it is. He also said English teams have been more difficult than other teams as the league is very, very, you know, tough. And it's very hard to rest players ahead of Champions League games as it can be very risky and cost you points. When Conte spoke about Karabakh, he said we face a good team and he knows a lot of their players as well as they play for the national team. And he faced Azerbaijan with the Italian national team when he was still coaching the Italian national team, obviously. He likes to call these kind of games, and this game in particular, a tricky game because it's, you know, very difficult. Like he said, do you rotate? How much do you rotate? But, you know, he says rotation is very important as we play, you know, as we've said before, 7 games in 21 days. Obviously, that's including the Leicester game. And if you don't rotate, you will arrive in the last few games without any energy to compete, really. He also said there is always a risk when you make changes, but naming the same starting 11 could potentially be a bigger risk looking at the whole, you know, span of fixtures that we're looking at the moment. But yeah, that's really all that Antonio Conte spoke about in the press conference. Coming to Chelsea, how I think we will line up, how I think we will do, and also my match prediction. So generally, it's very difficult to predict how much Antonio Conte will rotate, as he's not been Chelsea manager while we're in the Champions League as well. Obviously, we sometimes had, you know, midweek games last year, but it wasn't a regular thing. We didn't have 7 games in 21 days, so we'll have to wait and see how he does with that, how he deals with that. Although, like I said, in the press conference, he obviously made it sound like he will do a fair bit of rotating. I will give him my best shot to predict the lineup, but, you know, will be very difficult. I do think we'll go back to our standard 3-4-3 formation after obviously playing the 3-5-1-1 against Leicester. So considering Conte didn't exactly change the goalkeepers a lot last year, with Begovic obviously as the backup keeper, I think Thibaut Courtois will get another start. But the back 3 might very well change a fair bit. Gary Cahill, in my opinion, is almost guaranteed to start the game as he obviously missed the last 3 games with suspension. And I also think Andreas Christensen will get another start. But the last spot is very difficult to predict who will take that. Will it be Azpilicueta, will it be David Luiz, or Antonio Rudiger? Well, Rudiger and Azpilicueta were out on international duty last week. Although Azpilicueta didn't get any minutes, but he still had to do some travelling. And Rudiger only played 120 minutes over the 2 games. David Luiz wasn't even part of the Brazilian national team last week. So he had a few days off, you know, he did some training at Cobham. So he's certainly the most rested from the lot of the, you know, basically remaining centre-backs to choose for the last centre-back spot. And also, David Luiz has, in my opinion, been the best performing centre-back so far this season. So I think it will be David Luiz that takes the 3rd centre-back spot. Talking about wing-backs, I think Chelsea signing Davide Zappacosta will make his full Chelsea debut and start the game, as Moses also had to do a lot of travelling, being with the Nigerian national team last week. Obviously, not many time zones to go through, as Africa is basically just south of Europe, but still a lot of travelling and long distances flying in planes. So I think he will get a rest, and I think Davide Zappacosta, like I said, will get his full debut. As Barbara Rahman isn't fit for selection yet, and Kennedy isn't someone that Conte, at least seemingly, likes very much, I think Alonso will stay in the side as the left wing back. So like I said earlier, Conte said that Drinkwater is, you know, suffering from a minor calf injury. If Drinkwater was fit, I think he would have started the game. But, you know, he isn't. I'm pretty sure Cesc Fabregas will start the game, as we're at home against the, let's say, lesser opposition, and his creativity will do as well against the team. They'll probably sit deep a lot. Now, the question is, who will it be next to Cesc Fabregas? Will it be Bakayoko or will it be Kante? Bakayoko obviously wasn't part of the French squad in the international break last week. But, you know, he is also recovering from an injury, or just coming back from an injury, that kept him out for a fair while, and also had him undergoing surgery on his knee. I mean, he looked completely fine against Leicester, but Kante, on the other hand, is basically a machine and probably doesn't even know what it's like to be tired. And as I think Bakayoko will start against Arsenal, I'm not sure he's ready to play 3 games in a week, so I do think it will be N'Golo Kante next to Cesc Fabregas. On the wings, I'm pretty sure Willian will start, as he only played the last 20 minutes against Leicester. I'm basically almost 100% sure of that. Conte, like I said that Hazard will be on the bench. And something else indicating what I'm about to say was the player's social media activity. Charly Musonda posted a very telling picture on Instagram yesterday. You can see it now on screen. A picture of a Chelsea kit with his name and number on the back, with the caption saying, 5 years in the making, it's almost time to make waves in this special kit. So, after him posting that, Conte saying Hazard will be on the bench, I think Charly Musonda will get his first ever start for the Chelsea first team, which will obviously be great. You know, I'm very much looking forward to seeing him play, and I hope I'm right, and I hope he does start the game. Obviously, Hazard will certainly come on during the game. Like Conte said, he won't start unless, you know, something changes from now until tomorrow, obviously. And for the striker position, I'm pretty sure it will be Batshuayi. Like Conte said, Morata has played a lot of games recently, and certainly will start against Arsenal on Sunday. Also, it will be good to give Batshuayi another chance this season. Hopefully he doesn't score another own goal. But yeah, you know, that's the lineup that I go with. Running through it again, so you can see on the screen now. Courtois in goal. The three centre-backs being Andreas Christensen on the right, David Luiz as the central centre-back, and Gary Cahill as the left-sided centre-back. Zappacosta as the right wing-back. Alonso staying in the side as the left wing-back. Fabregas and N'Golo Kante as the two central midfielders. Willian and Charly Musonda as the two wingers, with Batshuayi starting up front. I mean, I could obviously be very wrong here. Like I said, it's very difficult to predict, but basically I gave it my best shot. Coming to the game, how I think we will do, I think Qarabag will play, or Karabakh, whatever it is. I'm not quite sure on the pronunciation. I think we will dominate the game. I think we will be in control, and I also think we will play a good game. Qarabakh will probably sit fairly deep. You know, they're definitely a massive underdog. They don't really have much to lose. So on that point of view, they could just go out and give it their all. But I think they will try and get a point, keep a clean sheet, get a 0-0, maybe get a 1-1. So I think that's what they'll try and do. But I think we will dominate the game, be in control, play a good game. You know, that's why I think Fabregas will be important to play. And my match prediction is a 4-0 to Chelsea. Rather big scoreline, but that's just what my gut is telling me. But yeah, that's really it from me. Leave me all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Your match predictions, your predicted lineups. Like I said, I think it's very difficult to predict as, like I said earlier, Conte hasn't been with Chelsea while we're in the Champions League. And also any other thoughts you have. You know, are you happy that Charly Musonda sure looks like he might get a start? I know I am. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Massively do appreciate that. Just click the button up there to subscribe. Also check out my social media links, which you can see somewhere over here. Laos1507 on Instagram and Twitter. I'd massively appreciate it if you follow me there. Message me, tweet me, and we'll have a quick chat. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. Buzzing to be in the Champions League again. And I'll see you next time.